So, Larry Elder Destroys the Breakfast Club, Part 4, coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense, Logic, and Reason. And as always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So, this is my Part 4 and the last part of this interview that Larry Elder did with the Breakfast Club. So we ended up with Taslin Figaro not knowing what a system was, the definition of a system, the meaning of a system. So Larry Elder basically went on about all these positions that black people held in the city of Baltimore during the whole situation with Freddie Gray. And as he keep naming off all these positions that black people were in charge of, including the mayor and Barack Obama being the president of the United States, is still not a system. So anyway, so let's continue on with this interview.
Run anything?
So who's in charge of the system?
No. I said who created the system. I didn't say we didn't run anything. I challenged a lot of those black leaders, by the way. I said when we talk about the system, what black people have been in charge of any system. I'm not talking about a position. I'm not talking about a mayor. You know good
so
well
you're basically saying that they're just...
Okay, now Taslin is, as you see here, she's moving the goalposts now from who's in charge of the system to who created the system now, which is absolutely stupid. But anyway, being in charge of is a position. So what in the world is she talking about? I'm talking about I'm not talking about a position. I mean, the president of a bank is a position. Right? The CEO of a corporation is a position. The NFL commissioner is a position. So these positions are positions of power. So if you want the power, you have to be in position. You have to be in a job. What is she talking about here? Again, she's just making herself look more and more foolish as this interview went on.
They're black faces that are still in those positions, but they're still being
correct.
part
Similar
of the
to you, Mr.
system.
Elder. You're a black face in a position in the conservative movement. They're just the same. They're just on the other side. I'm talking about
So then when Martin Luther King said in 1960,
as opposed to white face or yellow face or brown face, who's ever in charge and who's ever in the position has the power, regardless of their skin color. So this position stuff is something that this is the angle that she keeps trying to harp on to try to make a point here, and she really thinks that she's sounding intelligent now, but she sounds like an idiot, a complete idiot here.
dangerous. He was
well,
naive.
the system
He was
also
naive
killed
then.
him as well. Well, we know that the FBI and the CIA also killed him. That system. You realize that, correct?
Wow. An individual killed him.
Right. That was also a part of Pro Hotel through the system. Correct?
Yeah.
Not.
So the FBI and the CIA are a system, but city government isn't a system. Anyway, does anybody really believe that this woman even know what COINTELPRO is? COINTELPRO is something that she heard from some race hustlers, and then she just repeating it. Again, this is what black people do. That's part of the brainwashing. They just parrot what they've been heard. But anyway, COINTELPRO, for those who don't know, it stands for Counterintelligence Program. This was a program raised by the government, the FBI, and I believe maybe the CIA was a part of it, the FBI and the CIA. And the purpose of COINTELPRO was to infiltrate what was considered subversive groups, and not just in America, but also outside of America. And they would basically infiltrate them from within and bring them down from within. This is what COINTELPRO. This was waged for like 12 years. I don't remember what dates it was, like from the early 60s to the late 60s to the early 70s, something like the 70s. But it was a program that was waged for 12 years, and it did infiltrate groups such as the Black Panthers. However, COINTELPRO did not have no impact upon the black community. The COINTELPRO is not responsible for the black community being the decrepit state it's in right now. It was not waged against the black community. It was waged against what was considered subversive groups, and it was even waged against some Central American countries. So when all these people talk about how the government went in, and the reason why these Central American nations are in the shape they are because our government, They're talking about COINTELPRO, which is actually nonsense, because I don't see how COINTELPRO is going to keep a whole country down. It's the people in the country, that's the mentality of the people in that country. But regardless, this woman does not know what no damn COINTELPRO is, clearly.
It's against Donald Trump. I think it's unfair.
Do you think members of your party are leaning toward fascism?
Define fascism.
Authoritarianism?
Define fascism.
I mean, the rejection of democracy, the rule of law, and equal rights under the law in favor of a strong man, Donald Trump, who interprets the popular will.
Again, this is just more programming and brainwashing. I mean, Charlemagne has absolutely no clue what fascism is. Fascism is something that people on the left just blurt out to demonize somebody on the right. You know, they refer to Donald Trump as a fascist. And we're against, you know, with Antifa came out there, anti-fascist, doing exactly what the fascists did. But anyway, what is fascism? Well, fascism basically has an economic part and it has a political part. Now, economically, fascism is just, you know, it's an economic system that's run by corporations. When the whole entire economy is run by corporations, or the federal government does everything for the benefit of corporations. Now, do we have fascism in America? Well, certainly, yes, we have a little fascism in America. And there's nothing wrong with making rules and legislation for the benefit of corporations, because they drive the economy and they hire the people, they provide the jobs. So giving a tax cut, if you want to say a tax cut to a corporation is fascism, that's fine. But the evidence sure tells us that tax cuts make the economy better. Now, as far as in the political sense, fascists are people that use physical violence and the threat of physical violence to push their view and their narrative. Now, also, the people who are in charge of these fascist systems tend to wear military garb, like Mussolini in Italy, or any other banana republic. You usually see the leaders wearing military uniforms. Donald Trump is a complete opposite of a fascist. So them referring to Donald Trump as a fascist is again more evidence of how people on the left, they just parrot and repeat what they heard. All these the people who the leaders in the charge in the left and the globalists, they know all they have to do is repeat some nonsense, some narrative to these idiots on the left, and they're just gonna pick it up and repeat it and don't know what in the world they're talking about. Again, Charlemagne does not know what fascism is, but he's gonna call someone a fascist.
But what about, when you tell women what to do with their bodies?
Being anti-abortion is not telling women what to do with their bodies. It's saying that it's all about life and protecting life, and the child is a life. That baby, regardless if it's born or not, that's a life. And if you abort that child, that's murder. You're taking the child's life. So anti-abortion is all about being pro-life and preserving life and being against murder. Just like they believe that all these blacks believe it, and a lot of people in America believe that George Floyd was murdered. So it's okay for the murder babies before they even have a chance, before they can even be born. It's okay to take life then, but once it's outside the womb, you don't. Murder is murder. End of story, regardless of whose body it is.
Can you have a real democracy if you're taking away people's power of choice? If you're taking away people's power to choose and not giving them any options.
Well, if you consider it
So now Charlemagne is moving the goalposts now to, the power to choose now. Well, the government takes choices away from people all the time. I mean, if somebody chooses to own an assault rifle, they can't because they are illegal. And by the way, more lives are taken by abortion than guns, let alone assault rifles, by like 10 times as many lives. If they really cared about removing guns, because guns kill people, right? Okay, prohibition took people's choice. And right now, to my knowledge, marijuana is only legal in Colorado. So if you don't live in Colorado, if you choose to smoke marijuana, you don't have a choice. And if you do so, you can be arrested. So these are all choices that are being taken away from the people. And as far as them banning abortion or banning abortion and not giving other options, well, there are options. You can use protection, right? You can abstain. There's birth control. There's also adoption. There are plenty of adoption programs to place children with basically adults who were responsible and can afford the child, but they can't have a child and they're looking for one. There are plenty of adoption programs out there. So there are choices for women, but not to just kill take innocent life.
There's a lot of sins though. Sex before marriage is a sin. I'm sure you did some of that.
Well, sex before marriage is not morally good for society. You know, the Bible speaks out against it. And then if we look at society today, we see the negative ramifications of sex outside of marriage, and most notably, high rates of out-of-wedlock birth rates. You know, high rates of single mothers without fathers, single homes without fathers. So, sex before marriage does have negative impacts upon a community. However, sex before marriage is not murder. So you cannot compare sex before marriage to aborting a baby and taking a life.
I know you probably got to go. Have you ever heard of the term nigga wake up call?
No.
It is an incident where a person of color forgets that they are of color and are reminded rather brutally by an unexpected act of racism. Have you ever had any of those?
Oh, brother.
I'm just asking. You think you've ever
Well,
had
I'm acutely aware.
Okay, the N-word wake up call is complete nonsense. That's a bunch of BS. That's straight up bullshit. This is nothing but another tool that the race hustlers use to keep black people stuck on stupid. Now, he sort of tried to explain what the N-word wake up call is, but essentially, if you are a black person in America, you think that America's change is so different, that everybody's free now and you can go out here and achieve whatever it is, and you hang around white people or whatever, may not hang around white people, and white people will entertain you until they're through with you, and then they'll let you know that hey, you just an N-word, and they'll put you back in your place. This is not happening in America. That's absolutely BS. This is not happening in America. Now, maybe 80 years ago, 90 years ago, 100 years ago, yeah, we'd all agree there was a such thing as the N-word wake-up call, but this is not happening today. It's just black people crying about the past, and really, truly, the N-word wake-up call, it can be, and it is racist rhetoric, and it definitely could be racist rhetoric. But what about, is there such a thing as a honky wake-up call? That's what I would love to talk about. Because they talk about this N-word wake-up call. What about a honky wake-up call? Is that possible? Well, I would guess just Pearly Things have a legitimate case, right? Because they came after her, calling her just pasty things. And this was black people with this. All because she was supposedly infiltrated the black manosphere, even though she didn't penetrate no black manosphere. She just put out red pill content. And she hired black people to work for her. So that is not basically getting into the black manosphere. But they attacked her. Did she get her honky wake-up call? And what about John Gruden? I remember when John Gruden was hired for his second stint as the head coach of the Raiders. Then supposedly somebody found some supposedly racist tweets or something, or racist information on social media from years ago. He got fired. Yeah, did he get his honky wake-up call? And then I remember that episode with Jerry Jones a couple of years ago. Somebody found a picture of him. He was in a picture as a teenager, at supposedly some rally of a group of white people rallying together against integration. And he explained what the situation was. He was in high school, and he was just there to see what was all the fuss about. But because he was just in the picture, now he's the greatest white supremacist on the face of on the planet. And of course, Jerry Jones is the owner of the Cowboys. And to my knowledge, Jerry Jones has never did anything to black people. And then I remember Then there's these stories of these white people who are losing their jobs because, because of posts they made 15, 20 years ago on social media, losing their jobs today. You telling me that these white people didn't get their honky wake-up call? And then secondly, what happens if a black person does something to a black person? Is that also an N-word wake-up call? Or is it just a wake-up call, an N-word wake-up call when a white person does it? Again, it's all insane and stupid for something that's really truly not happening. It's just black people living in the past again. But anyway, I want to say thank you to Larry Elder. If he sees this, thank you to Larry Elder for doing this interview, because number one, what this interview did was to expose the concept when I talk about brainwashed blacks all the time, where this interview was just full of brainwashed blackism. The Breakfast Club, it's Charlemagne, DJ Envy, and that chick for Jasmine Figaro, they're absolutely brainwashed, repeating narratives that they were brainwashed with while making very high income, making more money. I think he's making a 7-figure income from it because of that show, and you're sitting there crying about being oppressed. That's pure brainwashing. Also, this interview, I think this interview helped convert a lot of people away from the Democratic plantation, and black people have been starting to wake up, and more blacks are leaving that Democratic plantation and supporting Donald Trump. But if you go to the comment section, 99.999% of the comments were for Larry Elder, and this is their comment section. Their comment section, because usually it's the other way around. But anyway, y'all, so this is my sum up of this interview that Larry Elder did with the Breakfast Club. I would like to see him go back on, because I think that I think Larry Elder could reach Charlemagne and DJ Envy. I don't know about Tasman. That broad is gone. But anyway, y'all, this is my sum up of the Larry Elder interview on the Breakfast Club. And as always, thank y'all for watching.